Nothing in the world is permanent, and we are foolish when we ask anything to last. But surely we are still more foolish not to take delight in it, while we have it. The secret to life is meaningless, unless you discover it yourself. What makes old age hard to bear is not the failing of one's faculties, mental and physical, but the burden of one's memories. Any society that values wealth above freedom will lose its freedom and will ultimately lose its wealth as well. The most valuable thing I have learned from life is to regret nothing. I can imagine no more comfortable frame of mind for the conduct of life than a humorous resignation. Most people are such fools that it is really no great compliment to say that someone is above the average. It's a kind of spiritual snobbery that makes people think they can be happy without money. It is dangerous to let the public behind the scenes. They are easily disillusioned, and then they are angry with you, for it was the illusion they loved. There is nothing so disregarding as the constant anxiety about one's means of livelihood. He had heard people speak contemptuously of money. He wondered if they had ever tried to do without it. I made up my mind long ago that life was too short to do anything for myself, that I could pay others to do for me. If nobody spoke unless he had something to say, the human race would very soon lose the use of speech. Unfortunately, sometimes one can do what one thinks is right without making someone else unhappy. I am afraid of people with too much charm. They devour you. In the end, you are made a sacrifice to the exercise of their fascinating gift and their insincerity. We know our friends by their defects rather than by their merits. You learn more quickly under the guidance of experienced teachers. You waste a lot of time going down blind alleys if you have no one to lead you. You must not pursue a success, but fly from it. I do not confer praise or blame. I accept. I am the measure of all things. I am the center of the world. You tend to close your eyes to truth, beauty and goodness, because they give no scope to your sense of the ridiculous. The first duty of a woman is to be pretty. The second is to be well groomed. And the third is never to contradict. You can never know enough about your characters. Beauty is also a gift of God, one of the most rare and precious. And we should be thankful if we are happy enough to possess it, and thankful if we are not, that others possess it for our pleasure. Men seek but one thing in life, their pleasure. Now it's a funny thing about life. If you refuse to accept anything but the best, you very often get it. If you tell it decline to make do with what you can get, then somehow or other, you are very likely to get what you want. The future will one day be the present and will seem as unimportant as the present does now. The passing moment is all we can be sure of. It is only common sense to extract its utmost value from it. I always find it more difficult to say the things. I mean the things that I don't. There is a sort of man who pays no attention to his good actions but is tormented by his bad ones. This is the type that most often writes about himself. Imagination grows by exercise, and contrary to common belief, is more powerful in the mature than in the young. People ask for criticism, but they only want praise. Life was not so horrible if it was meaningless, and he faced it with a strange sense of power. The best portion of a good man's life is little nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and love. To bear failure with courage is the best proof of character that anyone can give. I have an idea that the only thing which makes it possible to regard this world we live in without disgust is a beauty which now and then men create out of the chaos. There was neither good nor bad there. There were just facts. It was life. When you choose your friends, don't be shortchanged by choosing personality over character. In the conduct of life, we make use of deliberation to justify ourselves in doing what we want to do. If it is necessary sometimes to lie to others, it is always despicable to lie to oneself. A little smoke lost in the air. That was the life of a man. One cannot find peace in work or in pleasure, in the world or in a convent, but only in one's soul. Throw yourself into the hurly-burly of life. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you make, what happiness you have to undergo. It is all your material. Don't wait for experience to come to you. Go out after experience. Experience is your material. I don't think of the past. The only thing that matters is the everlasting present. Simplicity and naturalness are the truest marks of distinction. It is an illusion that youth is happy, an illusion of those who have lost it. An uncomfortable thing about this world is that the good habits are much easier to give up than the bad ones. A mother only does her children harm if she makes them the only concern of her life. A woman can forgive a man for the harm she does her, but she can never forgive him for the sacrifices he makes on her account. I wonder how anyone can have the face to condemn others when he reflects upon his own thoughts. Life would not be worth living if I worried over the future as well as the present. When things are at their worst, I find something always happens. If 40 million people say a foolish thing, it does not become a wise one. You can do anything in this world if you are prepared to take the consequences. It's not wealth one asks for, but just enough to preserve one's dignity, to work unhampered, to be generous, frank and independent. All the words I use in my stories can be found in the dictionary. It's just a matter of arranging them into the right sentences. Common sense and good nature will do a lot to make the pilgrimage of life not too difficult. There is nothing so terrible as the pursuit of art by those who have no talent. You too can determine what you want. You can decide on your major objectives, targets, aim and destination. There is only one thing about which I am certain, and this is that there is very little about which one can be certain.